Welcome to Tweed, Ontario, Canada for round 5 of the 1989 World Observed Trials Championship Series. This is the first world-class event that Trials Master Cam Whiffing and the Steel City Riders Motorcycle Club have ever put on, and it sure looks like it's going to be a good one. Even Mother Nature got into the act last night and added a touch of rain to the already excellent sections that are set up and waiting to be challenged by the riders. Cloudy skies gave way to the sun and mild temperatures by the time this event started, making this a very pleasant day to be outdoors. This event was held on land that was homesteaded back in 1862, which is when this old log cabin was built. The pioneers who lived here then probably never dreamed that one day there would be a battle here by the top trials riders from all over the world. And you can bet that the top 3 riders, Thierry Michaud from France with 65 total championship points, Jordi Terrace from Spain with 64, and Diego Bozes from Italy with 63, will definitely be doing battle here today for the points lead. After a hard U.S. round held in Tennessee last weekend, the riders enjoyed a few days of sightseeing and shopping while traveling up here to Canada. Tweed is a small village located midway between Toronto and Ottawa, or about a 4-hour drive northeast of Niagara Falls. Since this was the only practice area, we had a great opportunity to video just about all of the riders as they came out to practice on these rocks. You might notice that some of the top riders will make a practice section so difficult that they can hardly get through it, while other riders just seem to practice the basics in simpler sections. We'll show you most of these rides, with some shown in slow motion. The rider information shown with each different rider tells his name, country he is from, and the make of bike he is riding. And the number below the country is how that rider is ranked in his country. For instance, Jordi Terrace shown here is Spain's #1 ranked rider. Jordi, who is ranked #2 in the world, is riding a new water-cooled beta prototype. He won rounds 3 and 4 in Italy and the U.S. and would like nothing better than to win back his #1 plate that he held in 1987. On the other hand, the #1 rider, Thierry Michaud, 3-time world champ in 85, 86, and 88, desperately wants to hang on to that #1 plate and become the first 4-time world champion. But don't count on Diego Bozes or Steve Saunders or any of the other top 15 riders. Any one of these could have a good day and finish in first place here today, like Thierry Girard did in the French round last year. This new beta that Jordi is riding has a number of changes on it compared to the standard air-cooled one. The 2 biggest ones are the water cooling system and the new aluminum box frame, in which the main backbone also cleverly doubles as a gas tank and has very strong, thick sides, so now a rider won't have to worry about dropping this bike on its side in the rocks. Jordi really seems to be riding this new bike well. It just looks like he can balance it better, so we asked him if there were any big changes in the frame geometry.
No, change also a little bit. The positions of the motor is different now. It's a little bit different, and it's more good because I have more equilibrium, more easy to make equilibrium, to more balance.
To balance, yes.
Yeah, and after also when I make big
ledge.
Yeah, it's all the time more. It's more easy, no?
Here's a slow motion look at Jordy's technique. His front wheel just hits the rock, he unloads, and his body stays in one position as he lifts the bike up underneath him. Here's Jordy's mechanic and business manager enjoying a nice day. And the Fanick team just arrived. Freddie Michaud on the left, Theory, and Steve Saunders. Let's take a look at 19-year-old Amos Bilbao's technique on this sledge. He uses a lots of throttle and a real good unload right here to get him up to the top of this sledge. And right here, as soon as he hits, he pulls the clutch and coasts up. We had a chance to talk to Peter John during practice and asked him if there was a difference between the terrain here as compared to Finland.
I don't think about the stones, I only think about the ground. The ground is similar, so it gets the same kind of slippery as in Finland. The stones, when you get the mud over the stones, it's similar as in Finland.
What were your comments about the U.S. round in Tennessee last weekend?
They had really good sections, I think. Some of them were really really perfect for World Championship rounds. Not too bad and not too difficult, and no dangerous sections, because they had in the big waterfall they had the catcher up with the rope,
right.
And that's good, because you know then that somebody's going to catch your bike, not
yes.
you. Just take care of yourself. And the time was short, I think. The sections were so long that when one driver drove the sections, he made maybe 5 or 6 minutes in the section, and that made it really tight in the end.
Do you have any advice for young riders in the U.S. now?
I would think that they would think about thinking about trials, not just drive and practice and practice. They would more concentrate on what they are doing with the bike and what they should do with the bike when they drive. That's a problem, because I've only learned it maybe 1 year ago when I made the 10th position. I learned what was wrong in my driving. I was driving some places well and some really bad, and then it came a click. That's a problem. And now I'm just improving. I know Thierry is very good at it. He's the best with doing that kind of thinking in sections.
Yes.
And Jordi, he's more
ability.
He's more ability in driving. He's really good at it. And I think the best is in between those both. You have to have heart and brains in driving.
When you walk a section and you're walking through it, what are you thinking about? You're concentrating very much on the section, I know, but what are you thinking when you walk through a section?
I try to get all the things that are in the section in my mind and make them into one line. So this is bad. This is really difficult. What should I do? What shall I make in this? What shall I try? And then the next place, and then the next place. I make it in pieces, the section.
Does the section ever scare you? Are you ever?
Yeah. Maybe when I look at it, like, shit, that's really big. And but when I get onto the bike, I don't think about it. If you start to think about that, then you can't drive anymore.
After the riders tracked all the mud up on these rocks, this little practice section turned out to be one of the hardest ones here. Notice all the clutch work Jordy is doing right here to help keep himself balanced. Jordy and some of the other riders tried a number of times to get up that ledge, but each time didn't make it because it was so slippery. So here Jordy went over to this rock and made like a drag racer and heated his tire up. He's about to go try it again. And you can see the results of what happened after he did this. We also had a chance to talk to 17-year-old Tommy Avila from Finland, the new factory team Aprilia rider, and we asked him how he got so good so fast.
Well, I don't know. Maybe the one reason is that I began when I was 6, and when I drove last year, first year in World Run, I was only 16 and already drive 10 years with motorcycles, so maybe that was one reason. And also I got good factory team behind me and now, and maybe that's also one reason.
How did you get started in trials riding?
Well, my father has tried enduro when he was young, and my brother started trial when he was 12 years old. Now he's 23, and maybe I followed him.
Have you done any other type of riding?
No, in winter sometimes I drive enduro a little, but mostly trial.
You have to be very aggressive on these world-around sections. You have to really attack them. What's the hardest part about riding these world-around sections?
Maybe you have to think that you can drive maybe some big step, and you have to believe that you can drive.
How did you get selected to be a rider for the Aprilia team?
Well, my first round in Spain last year was 20. It was very good because it was first world run, and then I got first point in Luxembourg. And then many factories started to ask me if I would like to be with their team, and first tried Bantic and Honda, Tesa, and then in Belgium also Aprilia asked, and I think that I thought already then that maybe Aprilia team would be the best team for me, and then we made.
Okay, so they signed you to a contract for 1 or 2 years?
2 years.
What is riding in Finland like? Are many rocks?
It's quite similar like in USA a week ago, and quite slippery and many rocks, but also quite big hills, mostly rocks.
What are your plans for the future?
Well, I hope that I can make better results than now, but I don't promise anything. I try as best I can.
nice when he does it right, he sure does.
The practice riding you have just been watching was shot on Thursday and Friday. It's Saturday afternoon now, and some of the riders here have just completed the technical inspection of their bikes and found these 3 large, well-placed logs to be a good challenge to their trick riding skills. And notice how each rider will add something to the practice section to make it just a bit harder. Jordy had a little problem with his gas tank cap seal, but his mechanics very promptly fixed it.
These are the minder bibs. Not all the riders are minders, so what we do is as they come along, make them up. Per minute, okay?
Take money.
Check inspection right there. Take the card over and you're all set.
I'm gonna pay my minder.
Here at Tech Inspection, certain parts of the bikes are marked so that the rider cannot change them for trick parts or new parts if one should break. Only tires, fenders, levers, and handlebars can be changed if broken. Also, the bike's exhaust noise cannot be louder than a certain level as read on the noise meter. It's Sunday morning about 8 o'clock now, and the riders are preparing for the start, which will be about 1 hour from now at 9 o'clock. 28 riders started this event, and only 2 did not finish due to mechanical problems. There were 15 sections to be ridden 3 times with a time limit of 7 hours. 9 Fanics were entered in this event, 8 Betas, 3 Aprilias, 3 Montesas, 2 Yamahas, 1 Honda, 1 Gas, and 1 Mechatechno.
For Team Fantic. Steve's currently lying in 4th place. He's fresh from victory in the Scottish 6 days and is all out to show you that the slippery conditions here will show you how much experience he gained from that event. Geordie's riding a Beta. He currently lies in 3rd place in the championship. 1 mark behind Diego Bosis and 2 marks behind Thierry Michaud, so he'll be out to change around the top 5 leader positions after today. Geordie is riding a prototype water-cooled Beta. Geordie was champion in 1987. He lost it to Thierry Michaud in 88, but he's all set to reverse the tables for the 1989 season. And out to stop him are all of another 15 riders who'd love to be at the top as well.
The section information page shown before each section tells the number of cleans, 1s, 2s, 3s, and 5s taken by all riders in that section, and the number of points lost on each ride. From this information, you can tell just how hard a section is going to be. Also given at the bottom is how the section ranked in difficulty in relation to the other sections in this trials. Ron Como from the USA is the first rider in this section, and Ron did not finish the event due to a mechanical problem with his bike. Sections are still a bit slick from last night's brief rain shower, and he scored a 5. Johnny Anderson, the only other USA rider entered in this event, now riding. This section was fairly easy, a lot of big rocks to go over. Most of the top riders cleaned this section.
Aika hyvin saattaisi päästä oikaiseen tällä. Aika hyvin saattaisi päästä oikaiseen.
He's out with a 2. Jordy Terrace, the number 2 ranked world rider now entering the section. Most of the sections in this trials today involved a trick turn at one point or another in the section. Looked like Jordy hit a little rock there with his front wheel. Caused him to take a dab. Notice Jordy goes down to the bottom of the section instead of staying up at the top here like Ron Como and Johnny Anderson did. This gives him just a little straighter shot for the wall up ahead of him here. Left turn and straight out. He scored a 1. Donato Miglio had a clean 3 and a 5. Diego Bozes clean 1-5. Eddie Lejeune clean 5 clean. Thurry Gerard with a 1 and 2 5s. Berlatier, Chiaberto, and Peter John all had 2 cleans and a 1. Andrew Codina had a 5, a clean, and a 1. Tommy Avila, clean, 5 and a 3. And Emis Bilbao with a 1 and 2 cleans. And the present world champion, Thurry Michaud, dropping into the section. Thurry's 25 years old this year. Some of the other riders' ages, Jordy Terror is 22, Peter John 25, Steve Saunders is 24, Diego Bose is 21, Gabino Renales is 25, the youngest rider, Tommy Avila, 17 years old, Amos Bilbao is 19, Donato Miglio, 22, and the oldest rider on the circuit, Eddie Lejeune, he's 28 this year. Thurry Gerard from France, 23 years old. Philippe Berlatier, 24. Bernardo Chiaberto, 26. Louis Galac, 25. Pascal Couturier, 25. Marco Riet, 19. Andrew Codina is 25. And Marcus Kipp from Germany is 24. Steve Saunders had 3 cleans every time he rode this section. And Thury's out with a clean. He also had 3 clean rides in this section. So him and Steve Saunders are the only 2 riders in this trials who clean this section, all 3 rides. On to section 2 now, which was just down the trail from section number 1. Very short distance for the spectators to walk. This was the second hardest section in the trials. Marco's looking at a pretty good sized ledge right in front of him now that he has to get up. This was a fairly difficult part of the section. A lot of riders didn't make it up this part. And now you rode kind of along the side of a hill over a couple of very slick rock ledges, then turned back down the hill. And the hardest part is in the background there, off to Marco's left now. Once you were down here, you made another left turn, back down into kind of a clearing where you made a trick turn. Then it was a charge up the hill over a bunch of very slick slab rocks and ledges. And a lot of riders fived it there. Most of the less experienced riders five the section right here at this point. We'll take a look at Jordy's technique here and see how he gets up this ledge. Lots of RPM and lots of real good clutch work. Keep that back wheel from spinning. Gets Jordy up there. We'll catch the last part of Jordy's ride here with our second camera. Lots of speed up the hill, and this rock gets in the way, and Jordy scored a 2 on the exit. We'll stay here for Amos's ride. Amos gets through the hardest part of the section right there at that point. All he has to do is go over one more small ledge here, and he's out with a 3. 17-year-old Tommy Avila is still clean at this point. And he just kind of runs out of speed here and loses traction, and he scored a 5. This old Moosehead was to be the trophy for any rider who cleaned this section, but that was highly improbable, as only 4 riders made it through this section on their first ride. Rubino scores a 5. Steve Saunders about halfway through the section now. Getting ready for that right turn back down the hill. And Steve runs out of speed. That was the hardest part of the section, right there where he fived it. Most of the riders are getting that far and then five in the section. Terry's brother Freddie right in front of his back there helping him out. Terry's got a good ride going here. Looks like he took a 1 right there. And the checker's got a 5 indicated for him. Evidently, Terry hit a rock and bounced back with his foot down. And it was enough that the checker gave him a 5 for it. Freddie Michaud doesn't agree with that call at all. And there's sure to be some controversy over that. Andrew Codina runs out of traction, collects a 5. And a bit of discussion about Theory's 5 is now underway.
What are you doing? No, tonight is too late. This year is not possible to protect. Sorry.
Well, the checker wisely held his ground and gave Theory that 5. Diego Bozas riding next. Diego's got a good ride going here. And he takes a 1. Jody Terrace, Peter John, and Amos Bilbao were the only other 3 riders to make it through this section. All the other riders, the rest of the day, 5 this section. And Diego's through with a 2, the only other rider to get through the section. You just saw Jordy in slow motion coming off the back side of that big rock, which was the exit of this section. A very psychologically imposing section right here. The entrance over these rocks. Down over here with a right turn around these trees where Peter John is now. And then third gear. And a lot of real fine clutch work to get up this big rock. This was very slippery, and if the technique wasn't done right, it was a very scary slide back down to the bottom of this rock. A lot of spectacular finds were taken here, as we'll see. Ignacio Bertrand here, the writer for Solomoto magazine in Spain, enjoying his trials. Peter John's the first rider we caught coming through here. This is one section you want to make sure that your bike is running very cleanly on. Most of the riders made it through the first part of this section without any problem. And a trick turn right here. Third gear and lots of throttle. And here was the tricky part, getting over the backside of this rock down through the exit. This section definitely gets Jordy's attention. Marco Riet from the Netherlands checking it out, along with Andrew Codina from Spain. Andrew's trying to get a helper rock in the right place, the bottom of the big rock. Johnny Anderson from Sweden, but living in the USA, riding the only Honda entered in this event. And he wisely decides not to pursue that rock any further. Andrew Codina gets up the rock, but finds it right there at the top. There's a real sharp drop-off right up there to his left, as we'll soon see here. Steve Saunders pops up to the top of the rock and gets a few of the helper riders off. A left turn and then right out the exit. But it has to be done just right. And Jordy gets just a bit off his line and really scares the spectators at the bottom of the section as they scatter for cover. Jordy had kind of a scary get off there at the top of the section, jumping off his bike and sailing down through the tree branches. He's okay though, and the bike wasn't hurt either. And Gabino doesn't quite make it up to the top. That'll score to 5. They finally got a rope up there and tied it to a tree so the helper riders could hang on to the rope and grab their riders when they come up if they were having problems. Amos says, now I'm going back down the rock. Lets the bike go and follows it down. Tommy Avila gets a bit crossed up on these slick entrance rocks. He scored a 5. Diego gets a lot of traction and has the bike jump off from underneath him. He scored a 5. Steve Saunders had the best ride in this section with a 1, a clean, and a 2. Felipe bails out. Terry Michaud had a 3, a 1, and a 2. And Renato Chiaberto, 3, 2, and a 5. Thierry Girard is a full-time member of the French military, where he has the rank of a captain. And they give him time off to come out and compete in these world round events. Top of that rock is very slippery now. Nice ride for Lewis with a 3. And you just had a view of Niagara Falls from the Canadian side, looking over toward the American side of the falls right at the end. We're at section number 6 now. Jordy has just come up the entrance part of it. This was kind of a long section. We shot 3 riders going through here. We'll take a look at Thierry Michaud next, and then Diego Bozas. Donato Miglio had a 3 and 2 5s. Steve Saunders a 3, a 5, and a 3. And Eddie Lejeune a 3 and 2 5s. Thierry Girard, Philippe Berladier, and Renato Chiaberto all had 3 5s. So did Johnny Anderson. Peter John had 3 3s. And Andrew Codina, 2 5s and a 3. A lot of trick riding was required in this section to get through it. And up and over a big rock, which we'll catch in the next rider. And Jordy was out with a clean. The only clean ride of the day. World champion Thierry Michaud now riding. There were quite a few spectators up here in Tweed for this event today. The organizers did a very good job on the spectator loop. Without too much walking, the spectators could get to just about every section.
Excuse me, guys, I can't see. Hey. Jesus.
One of the checkers telling the spectators to move out of the way. Thierry had the best rides in this section, losing only 7 points. Peter Jan had the next best ride, losing 9. And Thierry's out with a 1. And Jordi Terrace had the third best ride, losing 10 points total. Diego Bozas now riding. A lot of riders fly this section right here in front of where Diego is now. This got to be pretty slippery on the second and third laps. And this was the hardest part of the section. This off-camber uphill turn over some rock ledges to the exit. A lot of riders also fived it right here. And Diego gets hung up on a slick part of the section. He scored a 5. About 200 yards down the trail now, to the other side of the hill, we come to section number 8. This one appropriately named Ski Lift. Up the hill, around those trees, and up this ledge to the exit. This was the 11th easiest or 4th hardest section. All 3s and 5s were taken in this section. Steve Saunders, the first rider we caught here. Steve spent about 2 minutes balancing here, so we're going to cut a bit of this out. Steve picks up a 5 here. That part of the section was very difficult. We'll move down to that point here after a few more riders. Most of the 5s in this section were taken right at that point. Jordy scores a 5. Andrew finds a bit of traction and loses control of his bike for a 5. And Gabino finds a bit of traction on that line. And Gabino's out with a 3. There he tries a different line here. The riders that did the best pretty much came straight up the hill. Theory's trying to zigzag his way up. Nice ride from Theory with the 3. And Donato scores a 5. Eddie Lejeune had a 5 and 2 3s. Amos Bilbao, Theory Gerard, Renato Cuberto, Peter Yan, and Tommy Avila all had 3s. And Berladier had a 3, 5, and a 3. And Diego was pretty close to a 5 there in a few of those turns. And he's the last rider they'll watch in this section. And he's out with a 3. About 100 yards to the east, right down the trail, section 9. Pretty easy entrance. A hard part right here, turning and coming up over that ledge, and now getting set up for A bit of a hill climb with lots of loose rocks. Jordy gets hung up here for just a bit. And he's out with a 1. Johnny Anderson making lots of noises with his Honda. He collects a 5. Donato almost loses it there. He got all out of control. He was just out of the exit when that occurred, and he scored a 3. A shot of the entrance there as Thurry Michaud rides in. This section was in the sun, so it dried out pretty fast. Steve Saunders had 2 2s and a 5. Diego Bozes 2.35. Thurry Gerard 2.52. Berlatier 3.31. Chiriberto 3.53. Peter Yan 2.55. Nice clutch work from Thurry to hold himself on that hillside. Nice ride with the 3. Nice recovery in that section from Thurry. Amos Bale with a 1 and 2 5s. This off-camera ledge where he just went over was very difficult for the riders. He's out with a 3. Gabino Renales 2.53. Tommy Avila 3.35. And Ron Como with 2 5s. And Eddie lets the fire go out in the engine, and he gets a 5. Section 11 was a real easy section coming up out of a stream. Real picturesque kind of a area. A few trick turns were required in this section also. From here is up this ledge, and then straight ahead up another smaller ledge to the exit. Donato Miglia had a 1 and 2 cleans. Steve Saunders, clean, 2 and a clean. Bozes with 3 cleans. Eddie Lejeune with 3 cleans. Berlatier with a 5 and 2 cleans. Gerard, clean and 2 1s. Jordy also had 3 cleans in this section. Peter John a clean and 2 1s. Tommy Avila a 1 and 2 cleans. Johnny Anderson 2 1s and a 3. And on Ron Como's 2 rides, he had 2 2s. Real nice recovery from Andrew here as he rolls back to try his acceleration run again. Four riders cleaned this section each time they rode it. Eddie Lejeune, Diego Bozes, Jordy Terrace, and Thurry Michaud. The exit was the hardest part of this section, getting up and over this about 7-foot ledge, which was angled just a little bit. Stopped a lot of riders. Nice ride from Tommy Avila with the 2. We'll catch Jordy about halfway through this section now. This turn right here took a lot of points from the riders. It was probably the next hardest part of this section. It was very loose, and a couple of good bounces of the front end and rear end of the bike were required to get around that real tight turn. Once up here, a couple more trick turns to get set up straight ahead for the attack at that big exit ledge. Nice clutch work from Jordy. He was out with it clean. And here's the entrance part of this section. Down over those rocks with a real tight right turn. Up a couple of slippery ledges here. And then a real tight left turn back down into the section. Nicely done there by Thierry Gerard. Up around this tree, and we're back to the second hardest part of the section. Good ride with the clean. Terry Michaud now riding. Donato Miglio had a 1 clean and a 3. Diego Bozas 3.52. Lejeune 3 5s. Cuberto 2 3s and a 5. Peter Yan a 1 and 2 2s. Section 13 is right next door to number 12 here. And Theory gets hung up on a loose rock. Has to take a 1. Codina 1 3 and a 5. Johnny Anderson 3 5s. And Ron Como had 2 5s. And Theory just barely makes it through this section with a 2. Jordy had the best rides in this section with 2 cleans and a 1. Tommy Avila had a 2 and 2 cleans for the next best ride. And Theory Gerard had a clean and 2 1s. Amos is turning into a very aggressive young rider. He lives pretty close to Jordy and practices with him quite a bit in the off season. And here he takes a 5, stalling his engine. Catch Philippe Berladier's ride one more time here at the exit. It's like he drifted over to the right just a little bit, got off his line and takes a 5. On our way back to the start-finish area now. Marco Reed on section 15. This section required quite a bit of trick riding in it. This was a hard part of the section, but the hardest part was right at the exit, going over a couple of big, huge, slippery rocks, which we'll see here in just a bit. And here's where lots of 5s were taken, trying to get up over this very slippery rock. Most of the top riders didn't have any problem with that rock. They rode right up it. Donato Miglio had a 3 clean and a 5. Once more we cut Steve's ride a little bit short here. He spent about a minute balancing down there to get set up for that uphill. Eddie Lejeune, clean and 2 2s. Berladier, a 2 and 2 cleans. Oh, and Steve just slides off the right side of that rock. Actually, it took Steve just about 5 minutes to ride this section. He did a lot of balancing in it. Avila gets to the rock clean. He slides off the other side for a 5. Spectators had to kind of lift the bike off of him. Jordy rolls right up the rock. Good clutch work from Jordy. Gilberto had a 3-1 and a 5. Peter Jan 1 clean and a 5.
But no one dropped any down there, so I was.
Gerard scores a 5. Amos Bilbao with a 2 and 2 cleans. Thury gets a 5. And not quite enough speed for the top of the hill here. Johnny scores a 5. A side view of this rock now at the exit. A little over a wheelbase away was one more. Some of the riders would get over the first rock and then be all out of shape for the next one and 5 it right at that point. And the last rider we'll catch through here, Diego Bozes. Nice ride. Diego and Jordy had the best rides in this section with 2 cleans and a 1. Going over to section 4 now for the second lap. And we'll give you the first lap scores here in just a second. Section 4 was the hardest section of this trials, and you'll be able to see here just exactly why in a bit. A real tough downhill with lots of turns over lots of loose, slippery rocks. A lot of trick turning and maneuvering the bike was also required. You had to go over this rock and come off the backside just right. Otherwise, you were definitely going to get wet down here, as you'll be able to see in just a bit. This turn down here dropped the riders into the corner of this swamp. And naturally, the more riders that rode it, the deeper that became. And then with wet tires, you went up the hillside again with a couple of real tight turns. Over some great big ledges. This took a lot of energy out of the riders. You had to really fight your way up through this section. Thury's brother, Freddie, giving him some advice. Thury's balancing here to kind of regain his energy and breath. He was really puffing when we were watching him. And he's out with a real close 3. First lap scores. Jordy Terrace leading with 21. Peter Jan with 30. Michaud with 32. Bozes 33. Bilbao with 40. Gilberto with 40. 7th, Miglio with 45. 8th, Galac with 45. 9th, Lejeune with 46. 10th, Ronales with 46. 11th, Avila with 46. Gerard next with 49, Couturier with 49, 14th Berlotti with 50, and 15th Marco Reet with 50. The only riders to make it through this section on the first loop with a 3 were Jordy Terrace, Thury Michaud, Peter Jan, Steve Saunders, Gabino Ronales, and Pascal Couturier. And on the second loop, Thierry Michaud was the only rider to get through it. And on the third loop, only Diego Bozos made it through with a 3. This was a very hard section for the checker to score. Eddie almost makes it out and takes a frustrating 5.
The world champion?
Yep.
Section 7 was another hard section. And the hardest part, again, at the exit. Jordy had the best ride in this section with a 1 and 2 3s. Miglio a 5, 3, and a 5. Steve Saunders with a 2 and 2 3s. Eddie Lejeune with a 3 and 2 5s. Gerard with a 5, a 3, and a 5. Berlotti and Codina with 3 5s. Cuberta with a 1 and 2 5s. Peter John 2 3s and a 2. And Tommy Avila, Johnny Anderson also had 3 5s. A lot of 5s were taken at this part, making that trick right turn and then up that very slippery dirt bank. But coming down here, getting set up for this exit was a real hard part. Here you have to make a trick turn and try to line your bike right in that groove that's right underneath the mid part of Thierry's bike now. This was very difficult to do. And a lot of riders fight it right here at this point. Right ahead of Thierry are a couple of big slippery ledges that he has to go up and over to get to the exit. As you can see, there's some water in here and that very slippery Canadian mud. Thierry just about gets over that rock. And he slides off out of bounds for a 5. And Pascal gets over the rock, and he's out with a 3. It looked like Diego lost his traction there, and he scored a 5. Section 13 was the easiest section here today. He rode across the stream and then back again, and then up the bank over a rock to the exit. Most of the top riders cleaned this, although Thierry Girard had his problems with this section with the 5 and 2 1s. Jordi Terrace, Diego Bozes, and Amos Bilbao cleaned this section each time they rode it. Donato Miglio and Philippe Berladier with 2 cleans and a 1. Steve Saunders with a 1 and 2 cleans, along with Johnny Anderson. Eddie Lejeune and Tommy Avila with a clean and 2 1s. And Peter John, a 2 clean and a 1. Codina, a 3 clean and a 1. Amos almost gets into a little bit of trouble here. Sometimes riding across these very fast-moving streams is very tricky. Lap 3 now. Back to section number 3. This was just up from section number 4. Almost basically the same kind of a section. Lots of very slippery rocks with lots of real tight trick turns required in it. Lap 2 scores. First was Michaud with 27 points, and that puts him in second place with a total of 59. Jordi came in with 30 points, and he's still in first place with 51 points total. Steve Saunders came in with 31 points, which gives him a total of 74 for fourth place. And Peter Jan came in with 38 points, and he's in third place now with 68 points total. Avila had 39 points, Miglio 41, Bozes 42, Chiaberto 43, Lejeune 44, and 10th Girard with 45. So Thierry Michaud has picked up a couple of points on leader Jordi Terrace on this lap and has moved to within 8 points of him. Jordi's probably beginning to feel the heat that Thierry's putting on him. But one thing in Jordi's advantage, he usually rides his best on his last lap. And Peter's only about halfway through the section now. This was the hardest part, and he scored a 5. The best rides in this section were by Thierry Michaud, who had 3 3s. Donato Miglio and Eddie Lejeune each had all 5s. Diego Bozes, Philippe Berladier with a 3 and 2 5s. Chiaberto with a 5 and 2 3s. Bilbao with a 3-5-3. Johnny Anderson with 3 5s. And Ron Como had a 3 and a 5 before he DNF'd for the mechanical on his last lap. Section 10 was a real good section, just up from section number 11, which also was a creek section. This also started down the creek and came up this hillside. And this was real tricky. A lot of little rolly rocks, slippery slab rocks. Pretty much a second gear section right up the hill. Left turn, and then you're at the exit. Tom Farr from Canada scoring at 3.
Okay, thanks a lot for checking.
Take care.
Third, Michaud had a 1, 2, and a 5. Miglio, 3, 2, 1. Lejeune, 5 clean and a 3. Girard, 5, 3, 3. Berladier, 5, 3, 2. Gilberto, 2, 5, 3. And Ron Como, a 5 and a 3. Nice ride from Peter with a 1. That turn down there when he came out of the water and started up the hillside was really tricky. A lot of points were taken right down here at this point. There was a little hole right there that a lot of the riders fell into, and all the extra rocks there, which were very slippery and smooth, caused lots of problems for the riders. Amos wasn't too happy with this ride. Nice smooth ride from Jordy, and he and Diego Bozas were the only two riders to clean this section each time they rode it. Nice ride from Andrew with a 2. Section 14 was the second easiest section in this trials, and it was the last one that we covered in this event. Most all the top riders clean this section. Lots of real big dry rocks with plenty of room to turn in this section.
Stay where you are, Jack.
Probably the trickiest part was right at the entrance, which we'll go take a look at here in a bit. Jordy, Anthony Michaud, Diego Bozes, Tommy Avila, Thierry Gerard, Andrew Codina. All clean this section. Steve took a 1 on his first lap. Peter John had a clean, a 5 and a clean. Amos Bilbao, clean 2 and a 1. Miglio, 1 with 2 cleans. Lejeune, 2 clean and a 1. Berlatier, 2-5 and a clean. Louis Kalak, 3-5 and a clean. Anderson with 3 1s. And Ron Como had 2 5s. Here's the start of the section, coming up over that first set of rocks. Renato Chiaberto was the next rider, and he's the last one we'll watch in this trials. And Renato lands right in this crack. 6 other riders had the same problem. Chains off. Now Renato's really wedged in here.
Chains off.
And his chain's just about to come off his sprocket. Now if Renato could clean this section, he'd wind up in 9th place. If he takes a 5, he's going to wind up in 13th place. This is too easy of a section to give up on, because he'd probably go through and clean it if he weren't stuck here right now. If he could back the bike up somehow, he'd probably be all right and the chain would stay on. But he's got himself wedged in there real good now.
What's the first word, though?
Boy,
Dio porco, di un porco di.
oh, now I know what it means. Terrible thing.
Put your bike out, Renato.
Renato lost some time back in section 14 putting his chain back on, and then he had to take a 5 in section 15 in order to make it to the finish and arrive before his time was up. He made it with only about a minute to spare. All the other riders were already in and checking the final results. We asked the 3rd place finisher, Peter Jan from Finland, what he thought of today's sections.
Quite good, really difficult. The sections were possible at the first loop, but second and third, some of the sections were really impossible for me. I don't know about Jordi and Thierry.
How'd the bike run today?
Pretty well. Had some problems with the clutch. Didn't go as I would have wanted it, but still it was good. Good enough to make a 3rd place.
Well, this is their first world round up here. Would you call it a pretty good trials today?
Yeah, I think so. With the third place, I'm really pleased with that. So I don't care if the sections were bad or good. The third place is what I'm going to get home.
Okay, Peter, thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Congratulations. Congratulations on your win, Jordy. How was the trials? Was it difficult?
Yes, I think this week is very difficult because yesterday it raining and the sections I think is made to without raining, and the first group of sections is very difficult. After also have difficult sections but possible, and I am very happy because I win another one time and I now stay leader on the World Championships.
Now you're leading in world points. Are you going to stay leading? You're going to work very hard to keep your lead?
Yes, I work too much to win the last competitions because I think for me it's possible, but it's necessary also a little bit good luck.
How about the bike? Is it working very good today?
Yes, for the moment in the third last lap competitions, I don't have problems with the motorcycle. I am very happy because with a new bike it's possible to have more probability to have problems, no? And for the moment I win in every competition.
Once again, Jordy, good job, and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
And also, tickets for the reception are also available up here with Sue at the reception desk. Thank you all very much for coming out.
As you watch a few scenes from the Canadian side of Niagara Falls, I'll give the results of the remaining 7 world rounds and also the Trials des Nations. Round 6 in France was won by Jordy Terrace with 62 points, second Miglio with 96, third Michaud with 97, fourth Bozes with 105, fifth Berlatier with 118, sixth Siamen with 139, seventh Gerard with 140, 8th Avila with 148, 9th Lejeune with 156, and 10th Bilbao with 161. Round 7, held in Switzerland, was again won by Jordy Terrace with 88 points, second Bozes with 94, third Michaud with 105, fourth Miglio with 113, fifth Saunders with 116, seventh Berlatier with 120, 8th Gerard with 120, 9th Bilbao with 137, and 10th Couturier with 148. Round 8, held in Spain, again won by Jordy Terrace with 81 points, second Michaud 101, third Bozes 110, fourth Miglio 115, fifth Saunders with 122, sixth Avila 124, seventh Bilbao 130, eighth Berlatier with 130, 9th Codina with 134, and 10th Couturier with 138. Round 9, held in Austria. Jordy Terrace again with 93 points, second Michaud 111, third Bozes 119, fourth Avila with 124, fifth Berlatier 130, sixth Miglio 132, seventh Saunders 137, eighth Renales with 139, 9th Bilbao 144, and 10th Gilberto with 151. Round 10, held on Czechoslovakia. First, Jordy Terrace. Second, Michaud. Third, Miglio. Fourth, Bozes. Fifth, Berlatier. Sixth, Avila. 7th, Saunders, 8th, Bilbao, 9th, Renales, and 10th, Lejeune. Round 11, held in West Germany. Jordi Terrace with 75 points. 2nd, Avila, 86. 3rd, Michaud, 93. 4th, Bozes, 96. 5th, Saunders with 100. 6th, Miglio with 106. 7th, Bilbao, 120. 8th, John with 127. 9th, Gerard with 130. And 10th, Siamen with 130. And the final round 12, held in Luxembourg, was again won by Jordi with 8 points. Diego Boza second with 8. 3rd, Michaud with 15. 4th, Peter Jean, 24. 5th, Lejeune with 26. 6th, Bilbao with 27. 7th, Avila with 30. 8th, Miglio with 30. 9th, Kip with 31. And 10th, Juha Burali with 35. And the final 1989 World Standings. 15th place, Ender Codina. 14th, Gabino Renales. 13th, Renato Gilberto. 12th, Thierry Gerard. 11th, Pascal Couturier. 10th, Eddie Lejeune. 9th, Peter Jan. 8th, Amos Bilbao. 7th, Philippe Berladier. 6th, Tommy Avila. 5th, Steve Saunders. 4th, Donato Miglio. 3rd, Diego Bozes. 2nd, Thierry Michaud. And the number 1 place, and a big congratulations, goes to Jordi Terrace from Spain, the new 1989 World Observed Trials champion. Jordi also won the Trials des Nations, which was held in Belgium this year, with 59 points. 2nd, Michaud with 67. 3rd, Miglio. 4th, Bozes. 5th, Avila. 6th, Berladier. 7th, Bilbao. 8th, Saunders. 9th, Codina. And 10th, Gilberto.